Time for another music review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the album So Beautiful So What by Paul Simon from 2011. But before I get on to that particular record, I'm going to do a bit of a background on Paul Simon. Some of you will probably know this detail, but many probably not, because he's of my era. In fact, he's approaching his 80th birthday this year, would you believe? Should I say that again? 80th birthday. He was born Paul Frederick Simon on October the 13th, 1941. Of course, an American musician, singer, songwriter, and actor. His musical career has spanned over 6 decades. Wow, what a life. He's widely regarded as one of the best songwriters in the history of popular music. And as I say, he was born in New Jersey, in Newark, to Hungarian Jewish parents. His father, Louis, passed away a few years back, was a college professor, a double bass player, in fact, and dance band leader who performed under the name Lee Sims. And his mother, Belle, also deceased, was an elementary school teacher. But in 1945, his family moved to the Kew Garden Hills section of Flushing, Queens in New York City. Wikipedia here, so I don't think I'm particularly a scholar, but I just find it very definitive. The musician Donald Fagen from Steely Dan described Simon's childhood as that of a certain kind of New York Jew, almost a stereotype, really, to whom music and baseball were very important. And I think it has to do with the parents. The parents, he said, are either immigrants or first-generation Americans who felt like outsiders, and assimilation was the key thought process, and so they gravitated to black music and baseball, looking for an alternative culture. Simon, upon hearing Fagen's description, said, isn't far from the truth. Simon said about his childhood, I was a ball player. I'd go on my bike and I'd hustle kids in stickball. He also added that his father was a staunch fan of the New York Yankees. Simon's musical career began after meeting Art Garfunkel when they were both 11. If you're counting, that's 1952. They performed in a production of Alice in Wonderland for their 6th grade graduation and began singing together when they were 13, occasionally performing at school dances. Simon formed the duo Simon and Garfunkel with Art in 1956. Their idols were very much the Everly Brothers, who they imitated in their use of close 2-part harmonies. Simon also developed an interest in jazz, folk and blues, especially the music of Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly. Simon's first song, written for himself and Garfunkel when he was 12 or 13, not quite sure on that, was called The Girl for Me, and according to Simon became the neighbourhood hit. His father wrote the words and chords on paper for the boys to use. That paper became the first officially copyrighted Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel song, and now is in the Library of Congress. And in 1957, in their mid-teens, they recorded the song Hey Schoolgirl under the name Tom and Jerry, a name that was given to them by their label Big Records. And the single reached number 49 in the pop charts. Anyway, Simon majored in English and graduated in 1963. And Simon was also a brother in the Alpha Epsilon fraternity and earned a degree in English literature and briefly attended Brooklyn Law School after graduation for 1 semester. But in early 64, Simon and Garfunkel got an audition with Columbia Records, whose executive Clive Davis signed them to produce an album. Columbia decided that the two would be called Simon and Garfunkel instead of Tom and Jerry. According to Simon, this was the first time artists surnames had been used in pop music without their first names. And anyway, their first LP, Wednesday Morning 3 a.m., was released in October 1964. 12 folk songs, 5 of which were written by Simon. And the album initially flopped. This release, Simon moved to England, and while in the UK, Simon produced Jackson Frank's first and only album and co-wrote several songs with Bruce Woodley of the Australian pop group The Seekers, including I Wish You Could Be Here, Cloudy and Red Rubber Ball. Woodley's co-author credit was omitted from Cloudy on the Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme album. Simon also contributed to the Seekers catalogue with Someday One Day, which was released in March 1966. Charted around about the same time as Simon and Garfunkel's Homeward Bound, which of course was a big top 10 hit from their second album, Sounds of Silence, and later included on their third US album, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme. So the duo released in all 5 studio albums and became one of the most acclaimed groups of the 60s. Simon composed nearly all of these songs, however, including The Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, Scarborough Fair Canticle, America, and of course the massive hit Bridge Over Troubled Water. Now, after they split in '71, Simon began writing and recording solo material again, and his first solo album, Paul Simon, was released in January '72. It was preceded by a first experiment with world music, the Jamaican-inspired Mother and Child reunion. This was a single and became a hit, reaching both American and British top 5. The album, Paul Simon, received critical acclaim, and with all critics praising the variety of styles, the confessional lyrics, and was a huge success both in the US, UK and Japan. And it spawned a number of top 30 hits, including Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard. So what followed then was a series of solo records, and I'm going to run through them quickly. In '73, he released There Goes Rhyming Simon. 2 years later, Still Crazy After All These Years. One Trick Pony, after a 5-year sabbatical, was released in 1980, followed by Hearts and Bones in '83, and then the huge success of Graceland in '86. The Rhythm of the Saints followed in 1990. Songs from the Cape Man in 1997. You're the One in 2000. 6-year break to Surprise, and here now another 5-year break to So Beautiful or So What. 2 other albums, but I won't go into those at the moment. His last anyway was in 2018. Anyway, So Beautiful or So What, released in April the 8th, 2011, saw him reuniting with producer Phil Ramone, and having experimented really with rhythm-based textures for 20 years or so following Graceland, Simon returned to composing songs in a more traditional manner, using only his acoustic guitar. The album was largely recorded in a small cottage at Simon's home in New Canaan, Connecticut. The music of So Beautiful, So What, well, it features West African blues-inspired guitar playing, Indian-style percussion, and experimentation with samples. An example of that is an excerpt from the 1941 sermon to Nighttime Ambience in Kenya, which is slotted in to the opener. The songs were recorded with very little bass, but a very large presence of bells, substituting for the bass tones. And much of Simon's lyrics touch on themes of spirituality and mortality. I'm going to get started on the track list, and there will be quite a few excerpts in here because this man has a genius with the written word, particularly in song construction. And I really do feel you need to have the benefit of hearing some of that. Although there are a number of lyric sheets, in fact all the lyric sheets to all the tracks are available on this review, and I really would suggest that you take some time out and read them, because they are truly a work of a poet genius. So to track one then, Getting Ready for Christmas Day. Starts off with a sort of almost a heavy sort of blues stomp, and it introduces us to these songs. It's littered amongst the music is a sort of rap chatter, as referred to earlier. The accompanying blues singer singing is almost reminiscent of a little bit of B.B. King. Lyrically, it takes us through a collage of different Christmas situations. The Iraq War, different job experiences, and reflecting the cash available for a rush on spending. We are acknowledged by undertakers, jailers, and not too happy folk, religious ceremonies, and of course finally the poverty-stricken amongst us. And here's an excerpt. Getting ready for Christmas Day, and let me tell you namely, the undertaker, he's getting ready for your body. Not only that, the jailer, he's getting ready for you, Christmas Day. And not only the jailer, but the lawyer, the police force, now getting ready for Christmas Day. And I want you to bear it in mind. I got a nephew in Iraq. It's his third time back, but it's ending up the way it began. With the luck of a beginner, he'll be eating turkey dinner on some mountain top in Pakistan. Getting ready. Oh, we're getting ready for the power and the glory and the story of Christmas Day. The Afterlife. It's got a very typical Graceland type theme to it. African rhythms dominated by percussion, and those slick bells certainly are heard. It's funky African beat with those brief lead guitar solos. The lyrics remind me of 50s rock and roll, and there's a reference to bebop and a music take on the absence of God in Afterlife, and an arousing take at waiting in line. You finally reach the summit, metaphorically, and hear the chorus to Gene Vincent's song, Bebopalula. Philosophical musings abound, and here's an excerpt. After I died and the makeup had dried, I went back to my place. No moon that night, but a heavenly light shone on my face. Still, I thought it was odd. There was no sign of God, just to usher me in. Then a voice from above, sugar-coated with love, said, "Let us begin. You got to fill out a form first, and then you wait in line. Okay, a new kid in school, got to follow the rule. You got to learn the routine. Whoa, there's a girl over there with the sunshiny hair, like a homecoming queen." I said, "Hey, what do you say? It's glorious day, by the way. How long have you been dead?" "Maybe you, maybe me, maybe baby, maybe 3. But she just shook her head. Yeah, it's really tremendous. One of my favourites up next, Dazzling Blue, a favourite about his wife's favourite colour, and it's certainly a love song. African cadence and Indian tablas are added to rich guitar sound that literally floats along, transcending a melody that dazzles. Lyrically, the blue sky, the views of true love, and the images of ideas, places, and things that represent love in all its richness. And once again, an excerpt. Truth or lie, the silence is revealing. An empty sky, a hidden mound of stone, but the cat scan's eyes see what's the heart's concealing. Nowadays, when everything is known, maybe love's an accident or destiny is true. But you and I were born beneath a star of dazzling blue, miles apart, though the miles can't measure distance, worlds apart on a rainy afternoon. But the road gets dirty and it offers no resistance. So turn your amp up and play your lonesome tune. Maybe love's an accident or destiny is true. But you and I were born beneath a star of dazzling blue. Beautiful. Writes next, and it features segments of recordings made on a small digital recorder by Brickle on a 2009 family trip together in Kenya. If you don't know who Brickle is, it's Simon's wife. Simon was frustrated over the guitar tone on this song and attached the sound of a wildebeest to a certain guitar note each time it occurred in an effort to create an interesting sound. The song contains nighttime ambience recorded during the trip. It was written about a burnt-out Vietnam vet imagining that he could rewrite his life in order to give it a happy ending. The opening is saturated in African richness via the kora, which is a beautiful sound. And there's a neat whistle there played by Simon towards the outro. And let's have another little quick extract of the lyric. I've been working at the car wash. I consider it my day job because it's really not a pay job. But that's where I am. Everybody says the old guy working at the car wash hasn't got a brain cell left since Vietnam. Hard Times, track 5, soft piano intro with Paul's vocals creating that magnificent Simon mood. It's so distinctive. It's a very stripped back folk song with brief arrangements, life's harsh stories, but love, a salvation through his thanks for his wife and perhaps God. Here's an excerpt. God and his only son paid a courtesy call on earth one Sunday morning. Orange blossoms opened their fragrant lips. Songbirds sang from the tips of cotton roots. Old folks wept for his love in these hard times. Well, better be going, said the restless Lord to his son. There are galaxies yet to be born. Creation is never done. Anyway, these people are slobs here. If we stay, it's bound to be a mob scene. Disappeared, and it's just like love in hard times. Track 6, Love is Eternal Sacred Light. An easy rhythm starts this song. It's very skippy with twangy guitar, nice harmonica, and the pace and excitement goes up a notch towards the outro. It personifies happiness and it's got a bit of a gospel style to it. Here's an excerpt from the lyric. How did it all begin? Started with a bang. A couple of light years later, stars and planets sang. Fire warmed the cold waves of colours. Flew midnight into gold, earth to green and blue. Love is eternal sacred life, free from the shackles of time. Evil is darkness, sight without sight, a demon that feeds on the mind. Earth becomes a farm, farmer takes a wife, wife becomes a river, and the river of life, the giver of life. Man becomes machine, oil runs down his face, machine becomes a man with a bomb in the marketplace. Bomb in the marketplace. Quite pointed, those lyrics, aren't they? It's Amulet. It's a beautifully played instrumental, mainly on acoustic guitars. Then track 8, Questions for the Angels, particularly like this one. It's a voice and acoustic guitar in a duet, and there's some tasteful harp. References to rapper Jay-Z on his includes a reference to African rapper, which was inspired by a billboard featuring him that was present over the Brooklyn Bridge for a time. Simon mentioned that he would pass on his way to the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and when they were holding a month-long celebration of his music in April 2008, Simon included the line to create a sharp transition from Angels in Heaven to downtown Brooklyn Street. Here's an excerpt from the song. A pilgrim on the pilgrimage walked across the Brooklyn Bridge, his sneakers torn. In the hour when the homeless move their cardboard blankets and the new day is born, folded in his back backpack pocket the questions that he copied from his heart. Who am I in this lonely world? And where will I make my bed tonight when twilight turns to dark? Yeah, I think that's got put the thing into quite a perspective. Thank you, Paul. Track now, Love and Blessings, opens with a booming bells, I guess. It sounds like bass. Orchestral arrangements from Gil Goldstein. Love and Blessings contains excerpts from the Golden Gate Gospel Train, recorded by the Golden Gate Jubilee Quartet in 1938. There's a lot of Indian tablas on this, mixed with delicate guitars, and Paul's singing is idyllic. The added gospel integrates well, and there's a brief clarinet to give a jazz edge. And so to the conclusion, the last track, So Beautiful, So What. It's much more of an up-tempo rocker, the title track, full of energy. It's got a Bo Diddley rhythm, so we understand. That's what Paul said anyway, and I'm not going to quibble with that. It's got an odd tribal feel, faintly back in the mix, the noises that is, and then the pace quickens to the fade out. I think it's a lyrical message on life and a final dart forward. Here's a final excerpt. Isn't it strange the way we're ignorant, how we seek out bad advice, how we jigger it and figure it, mistaking value for the price, and play a game with time and love like a pair of rolling dice. So beautiful, so what? So what? Four men on the balcony overlooking the parking lot, pointing at a finger in the distance. Dr. King has just been shot, and the siren's long melody singing, Saviour, pass me not. Okay, so that's the excerpt from the final track. Right, now my personal perspective on this. Although I, of course, like most of the Western planet, was a lover of Simon Garfunkel and the hits, and particularly after The Graduate became a huge success in movie cinema, I have to confess that I never really got round to buying any of their albums. Was satisfied really with the constant hits streaming through the radio in the 60s. And when he went solo, I really didn't follow him very well. And it's only in recent years where I've made a point to recycle and rediscover his solo work. I obviously heard and appreciated and enjoyed Graceland, but that was more to do with the fact that I was becoming very keen on world music. So I have reviewed other albums on my channel. Heart and Bones comes to life. Now this album, it has to be said, this is a very slow burner for me. I take my time with his songs. I have great problems in remembering them in any detail. I need to listen to them frequently, and that's the case with this selection as well. I know that it's a good album. I know the tracks are beautifully put together. I know the quality of instrumentation is very, very high, and the lyrical content is right up there. But for some reason, I cannot get a long-lasting memory of the music and the singing after I've listened to the album. And that's been the case with this one as well. So it has to be said, the answer really for me is listen a lot more, and you will get the benefits of the talent on display. But anyway, that's my take on So Beautiful, So What. by Paul Simon, released in 2011.